Good morning, everybody. Good early morning. I believe it's like 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, Father just placed something in my spirit. Um, Lust versus love, or love versus lust. Anybody who's coming in through YouTube, welcome to the channel. And anybody who's coming through any other outlet, equally is welcome as well. I want to talk about love versus lust. We hmm, we are. I want to go here. We are a tripart being. We are spirit. We have a soul. The soul consists of the mind, the will, and the emotion, and we live in a body. We are placed in a body, and the body has five senses of its own. You know, so, or in other words, the body has a program. We call it a brain, which is which is a minor conscious or consciousness, but it's not the the true essence of your consciousness. It's not the foundation. And most, well, let me say it this way: uh, it shouldn't be the foundation for most, but for most of us, it is our foundation. What we see, taste, touch, hear, um, and smell. We make that our foundation, and that goes to the effects of the body, and the body is affected by the brain. And so, but past that level, which in some theoretic teaching, they would say go to your or tap into your third eye, which is the mind, which is the soul. And that's where it's like a subdivision. Is beneath the surface of is is beneath the surface, or above the surface, I should say, of the brain. Now, it's like we're in three layers. Okay, spirit, soul, and body. Your spirit is here on one level. Let's say that's the highest level of you, the spirit. Your soul is up underneath that, and your body comes beneath that. But how we see ourselves as, the body's up top, then the soul, then the spirit. So, taking that into consideration, if a person, let's say, if their spirit is not say if their spirit is aligned with lust, their thinking of their soul is how the five senses of their soul, not the five senses of their soul, I'm sorry, their mind, will, and their emotion, their soul will be on lustful things, things that fulfill that spirit of lust. And their body is going to react to that. So this is how we go by our moods, we go by how we feel, or if our feelings and our moods, well, it's not, I want to eliminate moods. Let's stick with feelings. Our feelings and our thinking and our choosing will be based upon lust. If it doesn't fulfill, enhance, grow lust, our spirit won't be satisfied. based upon the adaptation of our spirit being aligned with lust, the spirit of lust. And of course, we know lust is not love. Lust have fear. Lust is fear based, and it doesn't fulfill. It's temporary. For most for most of us, we see it when we have light on it. We can see that it's temporal. I mean, it's very conditional because it's temporal, and this is how we have these adrenaline rushes, these urgent compulsions to do something. I don't want to say ambitions or drive to do something, but we just feel overwhelmingly compelled to do something. And in most cases, let's go with the physical nature. You know, this being, I want to say, uncontrolled and undisciplined, you respond, boom, real quick. There's no time to think. There's no time to count it off, to make sure that you don't fall in a pit hole. There's none of that. You just boom, you just react. More than likely, this is when we're driven by lust, and lust is driven by fear. So, if that is the structure of my existence, then what I see out my natural eye will drive towards that spirit. And I will be looking for that spirit in everything I go. In every existence, I will be looking for that spirit. So money will have that spirit in it. Certain type of people will have that spirit in them. And I will find myself cleaving or hanging around that type of spirit. This is why oil and water don't mix. Or as the Bible would say, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers, or be not unequally yoked in marriage. I mean, if your spirit is not aligned with that, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a war between the two. If my spirit is aligned with lust, my soul is going to follow that. And my body is going to follow that. So when the Bible tells us to put our body in submission, or if the Bible tells us, hey, husband, submit yourself to your wife. Wives, submit yourself to your own husband. Okay? That means lust is not the center point. Because lust doesn't have control. Lust doesn't have discipline. Lust is fear-based. It just moves. It just goes. It's very impulsive, reactive. You know, it's meant to self-destruct wherever that is inside of. Okay? So 9 times out of 10, we was told, that the opposites attract. I think that's kind of like foolish talking to a degree, because we are compelled. What we see is compelled by what we don't see. So the attraction, you may think that it may be natural or something that you can see, and you're like, well, I'm not attracted to this, whatever. That has nothing to do with your inside, though. Your inside is attracted to it because it's one and the same. So the opposite attracts. The opposite, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the opposite has war with one another, or will produce a war with one another. because it's meant to conquer. So if that's the lust example, let's go with the love. So, and love will be the opposite of that. If you have, if love is one with your spirit, then your soul will submit to that. Your mind, your will, and your emotion, your thinker, your chooser, your feeler, what will actually respond in the connection with love. It won't be about incompletion or being undisciplined. It will be controlled. It will be disciplined. It will be in order because it's not fear based. So it will walk by faith and not by sight. So it will be walking by a spirit. So you'll find yourself doing things without knowing the outcome. However, love will be the center point, and you will be content with that love, because love will put you in a position where it won't allow you to be hurt. So lust will put you in a position where you can get hurt because it's very impulsive. It doesn't have foresight other than itself, how to reconnect to something of itself, to manifest, to continue to grow. Love, on the other hand, one drop of love, it don't need to connect to another part of love to reproduce itself. It's a continuance of itself. It's not broken. So there's no fear inside of love because it's whole. It's controlled. That's why love doesn't hurt. Love doesn't, it's not selfish. Love is kind. Love is pure. Love is truth. Love is good. This is why lust has a problem with love. Lust wants to control love. Lust gives the soul the idea that it is love. But lust is broken. Lust is not whole. That's why it tears down everything it's a part of. So if my vision of what I do see through my natural mind, through the brain, if what I see through the brain, and if that is submitted, if that is of submission to love, my view or desire, excuse me, let's say for a wife, it will not be based upon things that will be temporal. It will be based on things that have longevity. It will not be based upon things that will be just for the moment. Because love is whole. It fulfills. It doesn't put you in a place to be hurt. So I wouldn't be looking at a woman for her outside. I'll be looking at the woman for what she have inside of her. And I will be looking for a connection with what's inside of me. If love is the engine that propels me to go forward, I will be looking for the exact same engine inside that person. That's the only way her and I can connect. Her and I can submit to one another. Her and I can be one. This is why the opposite doesn't attract. What's inside of me can't attract the opposite of me. The opposite of me is coming to fight a war because it wants to take over me. I seem to draw the wrong type of people. You have what's inside of you is what is inside of them. Well, I'm nothing like them. I don't do what they do. The fact that you're saying that right there is proof that you're doing or you're on equal plane as they are. And this is why you draw it. You're one of the same. When you compete, you compare, you're already in the same lane as evil, as lust. Lust is trying to compete with love. Love is not trying to compete with lust. Love is full of itself. It's not arrogant. It's not boastful. It's very humble. Love is complete, though. Lust is not. That's why it's temporal. That's why I can't fulfill. So, let's say for example, I keep I find myself attracting, let's say, women that is of lust, or women that is divorced. Let's say that for example, and I'm going to say a woman that's divorced is probably has the spirit of idolatry. I'm not idolatry, adultery within her. I'm not judging that. If they're, I don't know the situation of their marriage or how it resolved, how they got to the place of divorce. But if they're looking to be with another person, the situation has forced them to be in an adultery type situation. Marriage wasn't meant to be broken. It's a covenant. It's an agreement. It wasn't meant to be broken. The moment that is broken, the person is put in a position to be in adultery or be an adulteress. I'm not married. What common ground do I have with this person? So somebody would say, well, you're drawing that person. No, even though I'm not married, they don't necessarily mean that I don't have lust inside of me. That can attract that person because we're one of the same. If I was pure of 100% love, would I attract a adulterous person? More than likely, no. If not a person, but the adulterous spirit. The adulterous spirit don't want to be around something that's pure. The opposite doesn't attract for the sake of being one. They attract for if they're coming together, they're coming together for war, not to coincide. And if that statement is to be true, the opposite attract. Well, the opposite attract for the sake of war. But more than likely, what's inside of you you don't see is calling for what's inside of that individual you don't want to be a part of. You know what? As the Holy Spirit is talking, that's interesting because the opposite attract. That's a heavy statement. More so to say, or in comparison, the attraction is the war. So I guess I was looking at it, attraction as a good thing versus a fight. I attract this opposite to fight. Or the opposite is attracting me to fight. Or we're drawing to come together for a fight. So I was looking at it in terms of as mutual or being equal, or you know, but versus the actual coming together just for the purpose of a fight. Huh. I dig there. Okay. But anyway, okay. That's something for me to eat on right there, something for me to think about. Okay, but going back to the lust versus the uh, love battle. Lust wants the place of love, but it can't have it. Lust is not suitable for the place of love. Love is the highest it can get. Is the highest. Lust is probably what I can't say the ranking, but I want to say probably the lowest that you can get. If not, is it's close to it. Lust wants to emulate love. This is why it deceives the soul to thinking that it is love. Take a person that says, I love you, yet and still they're full of pride and arrogance. Where's the love then? I guarantee you their motive is based upon their best interest. It's about them. Pride. Like I said, there is no fear in love. There's fear in lust though. Lust is undisciplined. Lust is uncontrolled. Lust is very assertive, very aggressive. Because there's no control. There's no discipline. But love is the opposite. Love is very controlled. That's why it's patient. And that's why it's kind. Because it's disciplined. It's controlled. Or it's under control. It's not overly compelled to boast or to exalt itself or to make its way through, proving itself. The word is coming to me as steadfast. Love is unmovable. It is grounded. So this is why they will fight one another. And this is why lust is trying to emulate love and convince the individual soul, the mind, the will, and the emotion, that is lust. So if I'm looking at a woman from head to toe, and I'm looking at her curves, her shape, and everything, I'm already in lust, and I already committed adultery with her, because the very thought of me looking on her outside have nowhere near valued her inside. So I'm not in love. So I basically disgraced her. I basically violated her. Now the atmosphere that we live in, the spiritual world that we live in, the society, if you will, tells us that's acceptable. But look at the carnage. Look at the way that the world is now. Do you see more love? Or do you see more hatred? Because there's a violation. There's no control. There's no discipline. There's no respect. So the love dispensation is basically cast aside, or there's a wall between that individual soul and the love connection. There's a wall, and lust is that wall. So this is why we feel we can do what we want, say what we want, feel how we want, and we respond that way. This is our soul now. So humility is out the door. Patience is out the door. Respect is out the door. So if you're looking at and if you want, I'm talking to the believer, of course, to the born again believer. If God's spirit is inside of you, you're asking God for His very best. You're asking love for its very best. You're asking love for His very best. And if you asking love for His very best, that means you have to be put in position to be the very best, because love is not going to give you something less than, nor would allow you to be a part of something that's greater than, than what you're trying to offer. So love fulfills. It doesn't subtract. It doesn't take away. That's why it doesn't hurt. That's why people say love hurts or truth hurts. It actually truth sets us free. Love fulfills. There's no hurt because there's no fear in either one. Anything that will hurt you is fear-based. So, with that being said, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I may have missed. If the soul of an individual center point is the outside of the cover of the book, they're already in error. And it may be a little time, but shortly but surely, they will see the torment. The package is never the cover. The package is always on the inside. There's like, it goes to say to every individual, there's more to you than what you see. The average person sees through their mortal mind. And their soul has been conditioned to their body. Let's say your brain is your program, is your hard drive or whatever, and your motherboard or whatever you want to call it. It is where you store all your information. And for the most part, this is how we function. This is the consciousness that we function off of. But then someone said there's a subconsciousness. Well, we want to say there underneath the consciousness, there is another layer of depth to us that it taps into what we don't naturally see through the five physical senses. Detect through the five physical senses, or understand through the five physical senses. We can go there, and that's where the soul is. And the soul is inside the spirit. So if the spirit is out of whack, it's not connected to, go back to that, if it's not connected to love, then the soul is going to behave in that way. But if it's connected to love, it's going to behave that way. And you will find yourself doing the things that you think about, things how you feel, things that, how you make your choices with, will be love driven, and that will affect your body. Now your consciousness, your brain, is being constructed in love. So the programs that you're storing into your brain is going to be love based. And you will find yourself on autopilot, things that are involving love. Things that will be involved in things that are kind, that are pure, that are of truth, that are of love. You will find yourself, love worthy. You will find yourself in the midst of that. When the consciousness is reprogrammed based upon the soul. And if the soul is connected to the spirit line, so like if the spirit, your spirit, who you are, is connected, is in line and oneness with love, your soul will be transformed to that. And then your consciousness, the brain, or the data that you put in to you, you won't find yourself around things that's trying to tear you down. You'll find things that's trying to increase you inside love. Yeah, your ears, I mean, what you hear, what you taste, and what you feel, these different things, you'll find yourself, if it doesn't connect you to love, you'll find yourself not having much of an interest or a desire for it. You will only be where you want to be. This is the very right of us. That's why it's called free will. You will only be where you want to be, and where you don't want to be. Fear has led you there. All right, I drop it there. I hope that this word was a blessing to someone. This is lust over fear, or love over lust. I hope someone was blessed by this, and to whomever, to wherever you go, if this is a battle within yourself, I'm standing in agreement with you now. As the word says, if two or three should be gathered in Jesus' name, there will he be in the midst. Or two or three shall agree as in touching anything, it shall be done in the midst of God and in the name of Jesus. So I touch and agree with you that there's a decision of your soul. There's a light in the direction of holiness and righteousness. Not self-righteousness, but true righteousness. That you will find yourself in oneness with the spirit of truth of love, which is God, our creator. And you will find your center point, that you're much more than you honestly see or what you've been told. Somebody could have spoke death into your life. Excuse me. Somebody could have spoke the most harmful, the most, I mean, we could say some, which is the point of speaking things into existence in people's lives, that let's say something that's negative, is to tear down. And I want to speak against every seed that was planted. If you was told that you wasn't good enough, if you was told that you will never be anything, if you were told that no matter what you try to do, it will fail, if you were told that you're only as good as the one before you,